After 2.5 years of starting my business, I started at a net worth of less than 30,000. 2.5 years, I've been able to build up a real estate portfolio that has allowed me to grow to $613,718 net worth.
It's compounding. It's not linear. So people don't understand it's gradually then suddenly. 500,000, 700,000, a million, and then it goes 3 million.
Yes, the KPI that was most impactful for me to get to where I am today was meeting 5 new people every single day. And I did that for a good month and a half to 2 months, where I met literally over 300 people in that time, and 300 different people that I could then work with and learn from.
You must just be okay with eating for a bit. But there is a bright side to the end of that, because you're going to be doing that in your job regardless. But at least you get equity when you're doing your All right, Mason Miranda, I have a number for you. $613,718.
Hell
What
yeah.
is the significance of this number?
That is my current net worth. That is what I am worth after 2.5 years of starting my business. I started at less than a net worth of less than 30,000, and in 2.5 years, have been able to build up a real estate portfolio that has allowed me to grow to $613,718 net worth.
And now we're predicting to hit the millionaire status next year in 2026.
Yeah, it's funny. I had a buddy of mine comment when I had posted that on the AAC page. She did the math and she said that it was something along the lines of 20x in 2.5 years what my net worth was. And assuming you project that out in the next 2.5 years, assuming I stay the course, I'll be at about a 12 million-ish net worth.
See, what's funny is it's compounding. It's not linear. So people don't understand it's gradually then suddenly. So it's 500,000, 700,000, a million, and then it goes million, 3 million.
Yes.
3 million, 4.5 million, because it was kind of a lower year. And then maybe you go down to like 4 million, and then all of a sudden you're up to 10 million.
Yep.
And so that's how it works. And people don't understand compounding like that, especially with skill set, because then the deals that you do are crazier. Because I mean, even the deals that me and Pearson are doing right now, we're like, oh my God, this is going to go from 1.5 to 9 within like the next 2 to 3 years. Yeah. It's bananas, man. So let's walk through your acquisition journey. You're the acquisitions director, now education director of Action Academy. And you came all the way from, kind of volunteer firefighter for us to now you're building out really core systems for us. So walk through your personal acquisition journey through Action Academy first. And then I want to get into the tail end of this podcast where we're discussing the hundreds and hundreds of members that you're helping. What are some of the key indicators that you're seeing of people that are crushing it, where on the first call, you're like, you're going to be successful, versus the person where you're like, man, I don't think you got it. So let's start with personal acquisition first.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think all of this actually has a lot to do with what you had just talked about and then what I'll go over with my acquisition. If you haven't read the book, The Compound Effect, I strongly recommend reading it, because literally all of those principles with what we just talked about and my journey is literally the compound effect. That's literally what it was. So with that said, when I started, I joined AAC in May of 25? So in 23? I'm pretty sure it was May of 23. And I had no real estate background or business background in general. I come from a family that's very employee mindset, very much you go to school, you get a job, you work until you retire at 70, 75, 80, whatever that may be. And that's it. No entrepreneur experience. Met my wife. We decided to move across the country, start our own thing, and we actually got introduced to entrepreneurship through a multi-level marketing company that we decided to join and learn quite a bit from all of those entrepreneurs that were within that. We decided it really wasn't all that great of an experience for us, but we did know that we wanted to get into entrepreneurship even more, and so that is really what sparked our entrepreneurship journey. From there, we then did a bunch of different entrepreneur options, learned quite a bit, finally met Caitlin Mackay, who then introduced me to you and your podcast, and we decided to join in May of 23. Starting from there, basically used the compound effect principles, which was just starting with small and simple things. The KPI that was most impactful for me to get to where I am today was meeting 5 new people every single day. And I did that for a good month and a half to 2 months, where I met literally over 300 people in that time, and 300 different people that I could then work with and learn from that were very experienced in this. And then from there, we were able to get under contract on our first, it was a mobile home park, was our very first one, within 2 to 2.5 months of joining AAC. And then from there, we went under contract on a deal every month until there were a total of 5 contracts. 3 of them fell out, and we closed on our first 2 deals on November 15th, 2023, which is really what got the ball rolling from there.
Absolutely insane. So now fast forward to today. What's the current portfolio in 2025?
Yeah, so I had to write all of this down. I had to go back and I had to put it all together because I didn't actually know. So I own a total of 399 units. We're on track to be over 500 by the end of the year. We're under contract on a 38 pad mobile home park, as well as a 118 unit multifamily property, which would put us well over 500 units by the end of the year. We've done a total of 11 deals plus 14 single family homes. We've seller financed 4 of those, bought cash 1 of those, plus all of the 14 single family homes we bought cash, and the rest of them were financed through a bank. We've raised a little over $8 million to be able to purchase all of these things. And we currently have a partnership that is growing, but we're currently sitting at about 4 of us that are able to manage and operate all of these different, all our entire portfolio.
In 2 years.
In 2.5 years. Yes, sir.
2.5 years. So sorry, I gave you 2 years. That was too
Yeah.
generous. In 2.5 years, guys.
Yes.
We're 6 minutes deep. Y'all should join Action Academy. I think so. Not only just to learn this stuff, but Mason's the one that's building the education systems and teaching it. So here's a big question I have. Let's talk macro environment first, and then let's jump into kind of what you're seeing out in the trenches. So
Yeah.
from a multifamily perspective, it seems like you're getting a lot of deal flow for commercial deals, and other people aren't, especially in the group right now. So what were you doing differently? What have you been doing more consistently or differently than your peers over the last 2 years to be able to both buy and stabilize these assets?
Fantastic question. 2 big things. One, the majority of people still think that they can do this quickly on their own. They think that the solopreneur route is the way that they need to do it, and or they're a little bit too scared of reaching out for help from other people. The reality is, the only reason that I am where I am today is because of that goal that I mentioned at the beginning, meaning 5 new people every single day, and being willing to lean into all of those people as often as I needed to. A lot of these people simply aren't asking for help. That was the opposite of what I did. Is I just said, "Help me. I literally have no idea what the heck I'm doing. You seem like you know what you're doing. What are you doing?" And I basically found 7 different mentors that I lean into for the first year. And I just said, "This is your strategy. This is how you do it." And I picked and choose from all of those 7 different people. And I said, "That works for you. I like this." I brought it into my own business and started going from there. And most people I see don't truly understand the power of those partnerships and networking and adding value to others just as much as allowing them to add value to you. And truthfully, I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't see the success that they need to.
So you're compounding relationships, which then compounds everything
Yes.
else versus
Yes.
just sitting on Crexy or LoopNet or just sitting talking to brokers all day. You're out there actually compounding relationships with other investors and with other mentors.
Exactly. Because what you can do is, and it's incredibly important that you do all of the work yourself. Please understand that's not what I'm trying to say, is don't try to outsource everything. You need to be having conversations with brokers, banks, actual sellers, all of these different people to help get the deals done. But at the same time, you also need to be leveraging partnerships and other people to help you basically duplicate what you're trying to do from people that are even more experienced than you are, and allowing these other people to help you. And that's also how you build out a team, is by sourcing these different people, seeing what they're good at, seeing what you're good at, and focusing more on what you're good at and letting other people do the rest.
Yeah, I think what people need to realize, and the faster that you recognize that this is a law of life that will not go away, which is you can read all the books you want. You can listen to the podcast. You can analyze the deal till your freaking eyes bleed. You're not going to know what you're not going to know until you just do it. And I'm learning that a lot from leadership, candidly, because now we've been working together on the core team for what, over a year now, 2 years.
We're coming up on 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, coming up on 2 years, dude. I was a really shitty leader in the beginning. I was kind of a leader by necessity, not by desire.
Yeah. Hmm.
I was like, man, I don't feel like I should be the one doing this. Like, somebody else needs to step up and be the leader versus, hopefully you would agree that today, because you and I have had some really like direct conversations with each other, and
Hmm.
you can I'm sitting over here reading my leadership books, and I'm like, okay, if I say this in this tonality, it will impact Mason better. But if I don't nail this tonality, then he may hate me. And so it doesn't stop.
Hmm.
It's you just have to roll up your sleeves and get into the freaking thick of it. But people are terrified of rolling up their sleeves and getting into the thick of it to begin. Once you get some momentum and some reps, it becomes a little bit easier. But why are people so afraid to get into the thick of it in the beginning, and what's some advice you can give?
Mindset. I mean, a lot of these people they just come into this not truly, first of all, they don't truly understand what the whole journey looks like. I didn't know what the whole journey looked like. I still don't know. I'm learning so much the entire time, and I can talk about my last 2.5 years because I had to do it. But at the end of the day, a lot of people come in with the mindset of, oh, I don't know how, oh, I can't do this, oh, all of these things. But if you change that mindset to, okay, I don't know how can I? What does it look like to that way of questioning and thinking and asking for help, that is the difference between true success and not. As a great example is, I've been working with someone now for a little bit, and the biggest issue with this person has been that they have wanted to focus more on doing things one way, and everything else is that I can't. I don't know how, so therefore I can't. And what I'm coaching this person to learn is, no, 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 no. This is okay, let's learn this way, but it's not about I can't do these other things. It's a how can I do this? This isn't a question of I can't. It's a question of how do I figure this out? Like you were saying, maybe it might have to be out of necessity for you to find some kind of success up front, but that will soon turn into out of desire, because now you're learning, okay, this is how this works. I'm okay. I'm learning how to be uncomfortable more, and I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. I'm learning how to go out and be better that way. That's what it takes. But it just takes being okay, failing, and just trying it out and screwing things up. And I promise you, I have screwed up a lot in my business over the last 2.5 years. But at the same time, I've asked for help from other people to fix those things. And again, it's back to the how can I, not the I can't.
Yeah, everything's figure outable.
Yeah.
And again, as stupid as it sounds for somebody that's listening to this, it's when you're a toddler and when you're an infant, you don't just get up and walk.
Hmm.
You try and you fall, and you try and you fall. And then somewhere in early childhood and early, development, you begin to get this fear of failure because of judgment from others, and that gets
Yeah.
instilled in you. But when you're a kid, you try everything and you fail at everything. You tell your kid, hey, don't put this apple down, and they're like, oops, and they just throw it down. They don't freaking know, but they
Yep.
don't care.
Yep.
They're freaking learning. There's this quote that I really love, which is, uh, don't do is something where it's like, don't rely on your best, like do it the best that it can be done.
Hmm.
Don't just do your best, do it the best that it can be done. And so my coach asked me, he's like, okay, well, you're doing your best, but is that the best that it can be done? Or your team members doing their best, but is it the best that it can be done? And a lot of people are like, I'm doing my best, I'm doing my best. And then it just becomes an honest conversation of, hey man, it's time for your best to become better. And that's the uncomfortable part, because right now, what got you here is not going to take you there. And
Hmm.
so you need to listen to us, follow the playbook, and then let's rock and roll. So let's start there. Describe Action Academy for somebody. Obviously, people that are listening have heard of Action Academy. You were on the podcast a year ago talking about it. So describe Action Academy in kind of our transition phase today, where we're at today in November, where we're going, and then we'll kind of get into some of the coaching where you're like, here's like 5 do's, here's 5 don'ts that I'm seeing over and over and over again, because you've done how many coaching calls now in the community? What, like 500 plus probably?
Yeah, it's been a lot more than that, man. Yeah, it's probably over a
Yeah.
thousand easily.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So let's start with what's Action Academy, for somebody that's listening in November, where we're going, and then we'll get into the coaching stuff.
yep. Put very simply, Action Academy can be summed up with 2 points. One, it is a network of people that are better than you. It's a network of people that will help
Yeah.
you be better than what you are because they are either on your level or more experienced than you. And it's a place for you to actually connect with those people. The second thing to Action Academy is it's a place for you to practice, fail, and succeed. It's a place for you to learn how to do the thing, a safe place for you to understand and learn, practice, and take action, and then ask for help when you fail. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, for you to learn from those failures and then leverage other people again that are better than you so that you can succeed. In my opinion, that's what Action Academy has been for me.
As you're describing it, it's a sandbox.
Yeah.
Really?
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally a sandbox. It's saying, "Hey, I don't want you to go play with scissors right now," and like run around the house, which is literally people doing these deals on their own or attempting to, and then all of a sudden you're facing bankruptcy
Hmm.
or foreclosure on your home if you mess this up. Versus a sandbox is like, okay, we want you to go do your cartwheels, do whatever you want to do, like experiment with this, and you're going to be safe. Like we're here watching you, and that's not to compare the audience to children, but it's like, dude, all of us. Even me on the boutique hotel deal that we're doing right now is I'm in the sandbox because of my partners. And I'm watching them, and I'm just kind of over here playing, learning as we're going through the entire process. And so I think that was really beautifully said. So describe to the audience, what Action Academy has been in the past and kind of where we're going, because you're spearheading the movement.
Yeah, and what it's been in the past is it has been a major focus on connections. The biggest thing that Action Academy has offered is just connecting with other people and being a network, and that has been absolutely phenomenal. Like I said, that is the only reason that I am where I am today is because of other people that I've been connected with that are better than me, bigger than me, more experienced than me, and that's what Action Academy was. Where we are create what we're creating and where we want Action Academy to go is to be that on steroids. We want it to be even better with connections. We want it to be even better with the type of community and culture that we're creating. But then on top of that, we also want much better education than what we already have. We're bringing in connections with different coaches, mentors, specialists that are going to be coming in to literally create additional modules, templates, overviews on the how-tos behind X, Y, and Z across different asset classes. And the goal is to have this be, I don't want to word it as a non-stop, or excuse me, a one-stop shop, but more of a very
Eventually.
intentional, eventually, sure. But for now, the goal is for it to be very intentional on very specific things. And we do want to have a range of items that we address, but we want to get really, really dialed in on the education side with the very specific range of items that we do have, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, I compare it to where we're going to the hospitality of a Ritz-Carlton, where you show up and
Yeah.
you get like a little margarita and on the beach in Hawaii, and everyone knows your name, and it's got all this hospitality, and they're introducing you to people. And then the ruthless accountability and just sweat and steel of like a 1970s Gold's Gym with Schwarzenegger and Franco Colombo and all of them working out and hold each other accountable. So I mean, we've kind of lost our roots of that a little bit
Hmm.
as we've gone through, and I want to get back to that, to where we can directly call people out, because it's how I respond best too. It's when you guys on the team are like, "Hey man, like you're messing up here directly. You need to fix this." I think that's what we need to get back to in the community, which is saying like, "Hey, like snap out of it. I'm not here to hold your hand anymore. I'm here to kick your freaking tail." Like, go do what you said you're going to do. Otherwise, like, why are you here? And I mean,
Yeah.
champions crave accountability, and that's where I thrive too.
And I think an additional point to that, and something that I'm intentionally trying to do, I've actually shared this with a bunch of different members. My goal is to help create a culture that is much more than just here's all of our wins and here's all of the work that we're doing. My goal is to create this culture where we can all be vulnerable with each other and share the goods as well as the bads, and to hold ourselves accountable when things do go wrong. And understand, things do go wrong. Nothing is going to be
All the time.
perfect. And there are a lot of times where, and I've actually had Action Academy members come to me and say, I feel like there's so many wins and there's so many, that's really, really cool. But there's something's going to go wrong. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. And I want to make sure that we're being intentional about understanding, okay, this went wrong. This is why, and this is how we're in the middle of fixing it, or this is how we already fixed it. And I'll give you a great example from me. Literally, this is fresh. I just had a conversation this morning. Over the last couple of months, I made a poor decision in a partner with one of my businesses, transparently. The partner has not been performing the way that they have needed to, and I have essentially been doing literally everything that I know how. I've hired coaches to teach me how to do better. I've leaned into the community and mentors and asked for help on how to do this, and I've implemented as much as I possibly could learn and understand and know how to try and correct the ship. And long story short, I hopped on a call with one of my partners, very seasoned, very successful. He's one of my capital partners. And I just said, hey, this is where I am. This is what I've done. I know that you're incredibly seasoned. You are also in this deal. What would you suggest? What is your opinion if you were in my shoes and knowing that you're also an investor in this? And we had a fantastic conversation where he just laid out, this is what my experience was. This is how I overcame it. This is what I suggest that you do with that. And what I came to was, I got to just kick this dude out. I
Hmm.
can't, I cannot in good conscience be responsible for coaching someone that is not coachable. And I can't continue to move forward with this when in the reality is I am the one that's in charge of making all of the rest of my capital partners whole. Now, is that fun to talk about? Absolutely not. Is it fun to go through? Absolutely not. But these are the things that we have to make sure that we address and that are also shared with the community so that people know there's awesome things going on that are wins, but this failure is also a win because now I'm learning, I'm building relationships with my investors, and we're all working at it together so that we can now be even better and find the success that needs to be found within these businesses.
Yeah, you coach them in, and you coach them up, or you coach them out.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, and it's not fun.
No.
It's
No,
not
it's not.
fun.
Mm-mm.
No, it's actually the worst. And yeah, I love that you say that. And we do two different things in Action Academy. We do Wednesday wins, which is what you're alluding to, where people win and then they post all the stuff that they're doing, and then the fail forward Fridays, which is I want to make sure though that that doesn't get lost because of course
Yeah.
people enjoy the failures a little bit more from my
Yeah.
perspective because then they get to kind of commiserate with each other and they're like, oh, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not getting any deals either. It's
Yeah.
really hard for me too. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, hey, don't just complain. Like,
Uh-huh.
what went wrong? What did you learn from it? What are you
Yep.
changing about your behaviors moving
Yep.
forward in order to yield a different result? And
Yep.
so I think that we've gotten a lot better about that. Like
I
on
agree.
because otherwise it's just crabs in a bucket. Because here's an example: when I was selling and I was on my sales team, I was the top guy on the sales team of like I think we had 12 in the office, and then everybody in the office would be talking about like these territories suck. We can't do this. They're not getting the stuff delivered on time. Blah 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 blah. All these reasons why they weren't hitting their numbers. And I was just like, you know what? I was so sick of it that I literally moved my office. Like I had a little cubicle in there, and I was just like, I'm gonna go out in the service den, and I'm just gonna do my cold calls from the service den. And
Mm.
I haven't even talked about that story before, but I did that for 6 months. And I was just out in the service den with the actual service techs that were
Yeah.
delivering the uniforms, and that's where I did my cold calls. I isolated myself from the rest of the group because I said, you guys can focus on all the reasons that you're not good.
Mm.
I'm going to focus on the one way that I could be great over
Mm-hmm.
here. And so sometimes you need to do that. But I want to get into the coaching. So we've done $632 million of acquisition over the last 3 years. That
Mm-hmm.
is bananas. And we actually, from our accounts, I think that's actually low. I think we've
That's
actually done
low.
more. Yeah,
Yep.
we've done more than that. That's just reported acquisition.
Yep.
So when you're doing these thousands of coaching calls with our members, let's go into like what are maybe three things people are doing right, three indicators where you're like, man, you guys are gonna crush it. Like you girls are gonna crush it. Versus three things that just keep coming up where you're like, man, if you guys don't change what you're thinking about, then I don't think that you're gonna have success here. So three good, three bad. Let's start with the
Great.
good.
Three goods. One, connections. Okay. They are the ones I've hammered this point home, I think, this entire podcast. Connecting with people. The more I've seen people connect with others, the more successful that they've been. And when I say connect, I don't just mean, hey, hop on a call, how you doing? Okay, great to meet you. That's great. No, no, no. I'm talking about intentional connections. Hey, how can I add value to you? What are you struggling with? This is the value that I'm looking for on my end. I need to understand your expertise, and let's make sure that we're adding value to each other. That go giver mindset. Okay. So connections is a major one. Second one is participation. What I mean by participation is actively trying to contribute to a community. And that's not just in AAC. That is participating and talking with other people in AAC, posting on the main Facebook page, connecting in the group chats that we have, all of those things, but also going outside of AAC. Let me take the principles I'm learning in AAC and apply that to other groups that I'm in, other networks. Let me find additional networks because as fantastic as AAC is, we are not the end all. There are
Oh no,
hundreds and
we have 500
millions.
people. There's millions of people
Right.
doing this.
And as we talked about earlier, the goal is for this to be a sandbox for you to learn this. But the reality is, you need to take these principles and participate outside of AAC just as much as inside. And so that participation in and outside of AAC is critical for success as you're trying to learn and develop these skills. So connections, participation. And then the final piece is what we were talking about earlier. It's grit. It's consistency. It's being willing to say, I am going to do this, whatever the KPIs are. I am going to do this, and I'm going to break my back doing it. Now, does that mean you're perfect every day? Absolutely not. It means that you show up every day. And there are some times when, you know what, you feel like absolute trash and so maybe your consistency that day was 30%. But then the next day you're right back at 100%. That, in my opinion, is the consistency. That's the grit. That you show up, you give everything that you possibly can. You learn how to be better, like you were talking about before. And being better doesn't always have to fall on you. It can be outsourcing help, hiring VAs, partnering, all of those things. But it's being gritty, being consistent, and doing it, and then correcting the tweak and making tweaks to things that aren't working. Those, in
Mm.
my opinion, are the most successful people.
Yeah, volume negates luck. I would actually argue that the only time an action actually matters on the scoreboard really is when you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Because seriously, I mean, it's easy to do things when you feel like doing them. And I'm yelling at myself as much as I'm yelling at everyone else here. I mean, I can share my little yuppie version of this, which is YouTube. And
Yeah.
because it's for me up to this point, I've been podcasting and the way that I recorded for 4 years is I'm sitting by myself and I can just ADHD ramble into a mic and I do it in like tiny little 10-second segments and I re-record and 10-second segment re-record.
Mhm.
And the idea of how do I look on camera with all these lights and cameras around me while I'm recording was freaking terrifying, and it just threw me off. And I'm like a robot doing it because it's new and it's uncomfortable. But
Mm.
now it's like that I've had sufficient enough ass kickery of people up way beyond me in a
Yeah.
room. They're like, because here's the thing, everyone thinks there's two ways to market your business, by the way. I mean, there you can do paid advertising or organic advertising. That's it. So I mean, you can go do all the cold outreach and everything. That aside, you can do paid or organic. Paid is also very, very hard. It still
Mm.
requires you to be in front of a camera or someone to be in front of a camera. And so now I had to change my relationship with how I felt about that to its core and like make massive commitments. So I spent $20,000 to have this studio built out in my home next Tuesday so that I can build the muscle of recording every single week and
Mhm.
build that muscle, because even when I don't want to, I'm going to show up and I'm going to do it. I think that's so, so important. Now, here's another thing. I feel like people are also to that point, and then we'll go into what people are doing wrong. This may be one of them. I
Yeah.
feel like they're focusing on consistency in the wrong actions. I feel like they're doing a lot of busy work, but they're not actually doing the 3 to 5 KPIs that actually move the needle. So, can you describe your experience with that?
And that is why I added in that last piece to the point that I just made as well, is that consistency in action is critical, but we have to make sure we're focusing on the right things. And I'll give you a great example. Let's say that I am sourcing deals and I'm underwriting deals and I'm submitting offers, but I'm not seeing any movement. I'm not seeing anything come in. That means that while these KPIs are important and I'm getting the reps in, and let's say for someone that's brand new, just finding deals and having conversations with brokers, underwriting the deals that come in and submitting an LOI, that is a fantastic KPI for you because you need to learn how to do the thing. But there's going to come a point where you say, okay, I've been doing all of these actions and I'm not getting to a contract. That's when we say, okay, now that I've been tracking all of the outputs that have come from my input, what is going wrong and what is keeping me from moving forward? You take that data and you go back to someone that's bigger, better than you, more experienced than you, and you say, hey, let's say as an example, I have 10 deals that are coming into my pipeline, and I'm underwriting 7, and I'm submitting offers on 2, and I'm not getting anything under contract. Tell me what I'm doing wrong, what needs to be tweaked. The immediate feedback, if someone were coming to me with that, is say, okay, you have 10, 7, and 2. Why are you only submitting 2 offers if you're taking the time to underwrite 7? I want to dial in what that looks like, and we would need to make a tweak to whatever it is that looks like. It might be 10 coming into your pipeline and you're only underwriting 2. Why is there such a gap between the two? We need to verify what the issue is, tweak it, and then start tweaking what our KPIs and actions are so that we can be more intentional for the outputs.
Yeah. No, I absolutely love that because it's not just practice makes perfect, it's perfect practice makes perfect. you know, over and over and over again. And as you're saying that, it makes a lot of sense. Because one of my favorite stories was from Alex Hormozy, where he talked about the the process of him opening his first gym, and his mentor says, hey, go post flyers. And he said, okay, I went out and I posted 100 flyers, but nobody bit. Like, my gym's empty, what happened? And then he goes back to the mentor and goes, I did what you said and it didn't work. I posted 100 flyers. And his mentor says, 100 flyers, huh? Of course you didn't get any results. I don't do it a test sample size less than 5,000. And so from my experience, is you're not doing enough volume. Like, you just are not doing enough volume. Like, volume negates luck. Like, how can you do so much volume that becomes unreasonable for you to not succeed? Another example of this practically is I was at dinner with this woman, and she was like, "Oh, I want to buy this type of company, this type of small business, but I don't know if I can buy. I don't really want to buy this, remotely. I want to buy it in my local area, DFW, Dallas Fort Worth." I was like, "Okay, have you spoken to every broker and business owner of that vertical in DFW?" No. Like, okay, have you spoken to anybody in DFW? Do you have a spreadsheet? Do you have a CRM where you're like, okay, here's the 400 business owners that own these businesses. Here's all the brokers, the top brokers and Biz Buy Sell and Crexy, LoopNet, wherever you're going to look for brokers. Have you spoken to 100 people local to the market and asked them about their opinions? If you haven't done that and you're not doing that for months locally, why would you even consider going international? You haven't even saturated your current market. And
Mm,
even when you do go international, then you need to like have something, a process done with your local market. And so it's just that seems simple.
yeah.
It seems simple, but people miss that for a year
hmm
and they're just so hung up.
a lot of it comes back to not asking for help though too. You know what I mean? Like everything that you had just said, it's like, well, this isn't working. Instead of just trying to beat a dead horse, why not go and ask people that are better than you to say, what am I doing wrong? You know what I mean? Like it's so
Dude,
simple to just say, ask.
bro, and it's painful.
Oh yeah.
Because again, I just posted an episode in this podcast that, last week as this airs, and I asked everybody, I was like, "Hey man, I've been doing this podcast every day for 4 years.
Hmm.
It's not growing. It's not getting where it needs to go." And they're like, "Dude, because you're doing the wrong thing. Like, this isn't the medium. You need to be on YouTube."
Hmm.
They're like, "You're shooting yourself in the foot. You could double your reach overnight just making
Yeah.
it a video."
Hmm.
I was like, "Oh my god," you know, and it's called sunk cost fallacy. Is the phenomenon, because it's like you're climbing up a mountain, you're 80% of the way up, and then you realize there's a boulder blocking the path, and you have to go all the way back down at the base of the mountain, climb up a different way to reach the summit. And most people don't do that, and that's in their relationships, that's in their marriages,
Hmm.
sometimes that's in their
Hmm.
careers. They're like, "I've done this for so long, I've got so much invested into it, I can't possibly go back down and start over again." But sometimes like that is what's required. So let's go into the top 3 things that people are doing wrong. I believe that's probably one of them, is focusing either on the wrong KPIs or not doing enough volume of the KPI.
Yep. Well, focusing on the wrong KPIs, or they're focusing on the right KPIs and they're not making tweaks along the way. Okay. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing, but the reality is there are some times when sometimes you need to do a little bit different. And what works for one person might not be the exact same thing that works for another. And so your goal is to find the right KPIs by, guess what, connecting with other people so that you can figure out what's working and what isn't. So yes, I totally agree. That's one of them. The second thing is you're trying to be a solopreneur. You are trying to go at this on your own. You join AAC, you pay the money to be here, and you don't even freaking use the community. You don't connect with people. You don't actually reach out, and with the people that we are actively trying to push towards you, you're not talking with them. And if when you do hop on with them, you're not intentional on those calls. You're saying, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on? Tell me about your life." "Okay, well, here's my life." "All right, great. Well, great to meet you." And then you never follow up with them again. You never are intentional with them again. That is still the definition of solopreneur, because you are not being intentional with the connections that you're having. So I think that would be the second biggest thing. The third biggest thing I would say would be that you don't those people don't have the grit to push through the suck, because there's a lot of suck. And in a lot of the calls that I have, literally I talk about, you need to have your vision so freaking clear that it is going to be a motivator when, and I mean when you feel like you're shoveling through crap on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. It is a matter of when, not a matter of if, and you need to be prepared for that. And a lot of people just don't want to shovel through the crap. They just don't. And a lot of times the shoveling through the crap is, "I gotta hop on another call with a broker. I just screwed up this other call with a broker, and I'm never gonna have that relationship again. And now I need to start from scratch." That's what we all do. Like, there's
Yeah.
so much stuff that goes into this that people don't truly understand, and you will never understand until you start taking action. But if you start taking
There's
action
no
and
getting
learn
around it.
that, there no and if you start taking action and you're like, "Oh, well, this sucks, I don't want to do it anymore." If you base your entire business based on if I feel good or not, you're never going to grow. And so that grit and consistency, or lack thereof, is what keeps people from growing.
Dude, we're now entering into a season where it's more fun, because now I have to focus on building you guys to build the business instead of me building the business, which is like nails on a chalkboard for me, because I'm like, man, I want to just like jump
Yeah.
in and do more stuff, right?
Hmm.
Um, but man, it's inescapable. The more that I've done this, and I've seen everything. I've seen every asset class. I know every person online that has a community. I know every person that's doing a mastermind. I know every person that's teaching something. I know every single asset class. There's not one that exists where you are not doing this. Like, you must just be okay with eating shit for a bit. But there is a bright side to the end of that, because you're going to be doing that in your job regardless.
Yep.
You're going to be working hard and eating shit, but at least you get equity when you're doing your shit. And
Yep.
also, you get to learn the skill of leverage. I just did a podcast with Pearson, who's my business partner. We've bought, now 2 companies together, working on the third as we speak. And he was like, dude, it was awful, like learning all this stuff. I was like, but how do you feel now after a year? And he goes, it's kind of fun now because now it's like I implemented the sales team and the sales team's in there and they're crushing it and the sales team's ripping and now we're going to triple revenue because of that. Now that's happening without me. And that's the cool part of business ownership is once you get to a point where you build a system and a function and a team
Yep.
where it's not just you that's driving the result anymore, but it just takes time. And that's what I'm trying to get people to understand is that's why it's better to do bigger deals faster with a bigger team because now you have more NOI and you have more revenue coming in to be able to hire more people and split the pie. So like so an example of this again is instead of me purchasing an Airbnb for my first hospitality purchase investment, I'm doing a $14.2 million hotel. There's a lot of
Mm,
pieces of that pie that get to be spread around and I get to work with the best people that in that deal. Now, granted,
mhm,
that'd be super intimidating for somebody getting started, but I mean, once you get to that level, it's like the bigger deals that you do, the better the brokers are, the better the
mhm.
lawyers are, the better the
Yep.
forensic CPAs are, the better the lender, like the better the partners are, the better the property
Mhm.
managers are, because the
Yep.
property manager doesn't want to run 30 units, they want to run 300. That's what they want to run, the best ones. And so the game is how do you get to velocity as fast as possible so that you can actually work with the best people? That's the game. And so that's why you have the metas and the freaking open AIs that can pay $1 billion signing bonuses to the best people in the world.
Yep.
That's where it really gets fun is you get to hire the best people in the world.
Mhm.
Anyways, so now let's come back down to earth here because this is the stuff I think about. So man, if somebody's listening to this and they go, "Okay, it's November, I need to make some significant changes in my life this year to actually impact 2026. I'm not safe in my job anymore. I don't feel safe. I understand that AI is coming for my job. I need to do something. I need ownership. I need equity in real estate. I need equity in a business of my own." They are on the fence about joining Action Academy or anything like this, what's advice you would give to them?
First, define your vision. You most likely, at least from what I've seen, the majority of people coming into this don't even actually know what they want. They think they know what they want, but the reality is they're like, "Oh, this looks cool. Oh, this would be really cool. I just know that I hate my job or I just know that I don't like this," but you don't actually know what you're trying to go after. So really you need to identify what is it that you're trying to do. And most often I found that people can do that by defining a vivid vision. You need to understand what your north the way that I typically teach it is that your vision is your north star. You need to identify what is your guiding light that you are actually after. Once you identify the light, you can set the course. We can put the course together for you. We can figure out what is the direction, what's the headwind, what all of these different things to get you sailing towards the North Star. But there is no point for you to take any action until you identify that North Star.
Mm,
Once you identify the North Star, then take action. Stop over analyzing. Stop thinking about it over and over and over again. You already know that wherever it is that you are, if you're considering this, you already know that where you are sucks and you want to do something different. Just take the leap. Whether it's with AAC or something completely different, whatever, just take the leap and take the action. Otherwise, nothing is ever going to change.
boom. If people want to find out more about you, if they want to reach out to you, if they want to invest with you, where can they go?
Yeah, they can go onto my Facebook page is where I'm most active. Just Mason Miranda, or at the Real Man Miranda on Instagram is another way that you can find me. DM me, uh, you know, reach out to me via phone. I'm pretty sure my phone number is on there as well. You can text me whatever it is that you need. I'm happy to help.
Beautiful. And guys, if you want to be helped by the likes of the real man Miranda here, along with 523 other active entrepreneurs, check out actionacademy.com. That is our website. Book a call with our team. Hop on. Guys, this is airing right before we're about to launch the biggest Black Friday offer that we've ever done. The best one that we've ever done is irresistible. You guys are going to want to see it. You're going to love it. And we'll talk to you very shortly. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Leave us a 5-star rating and review if you got some value from today's episode. Thanks, guys.